Today I'm going to be comparing a few different eraser types on top of colored pencil. So first up, I've got my Kneaded eraser, and this is a great eraser. I love using it to pick up graphite when I do my sketch. However, to erase colored pencil, it's probably not the best. Now you can make it into a little point if you want. However, when you make it into a point and we try to erase, it doesn't really do much. So even if you were to go and make it like a little thicker and we try to erase an area here, you can sort of dab it down. I find the dabbing method rather than rubbing it is the best for this, but even dabbing it down, you can see you sort of get a sparse area. Next is just your regular white vinyl eraser. You do have some sharp edges, so you can get a little bit of sharp edges with this, but this does work a little bit. However, it's not very precise. Now, I do use my Tombow mono eraser quite a bit. I do like this one. It's great if you've got just a little tiny area that you need to get. So this is good because you can be a little more precise with it. However, once the color gets on the eraser and you try to erase, it doesn't really do that good of a job of erasing anymore. So it takes a little bit more pressure. So what I like to do is just take it on a piece of paper towel and wipe it off so you get like a nice clean bit of eraser again. And then you can go back in and erase an area. And you might even need to wipe it off, erase, wipe it off, and keep erasing it. And you can do this a few times. You want to be careful with how hard you're pressing because that can lift up some of the paper as well. Now we've got the Derwent, and this is an electric eraser. And this one does okay too, but again, it can be very harsh with your paper, so you just want to be careful. And you just press this button on the side to make it go. And one thing I don't like is you've got to constantly be holding this down. So it's kind of hard to control. But as you can see, that does a pretty good job too. But because of this eraser compared to the Tombow, you can see the difference in the size there. You can't get very precise with this one. Now I've gone ahead and taken this box cutter and I've shaved this down so that I've got a little bit more of a tip here. And this will make it a little bit more precise, but also I've just wasted a lot of the eraser. So keep that in mind. So you can see doing that, we get a much finer line. However, once this starts to fill up, you're going to have to replace it or pull it out and cut it down some more to be able to continue getting those fine lines. So I feel like you would go through a lot of eraser at once, and you can buy replaceable erasers for this, and you can also buy replaceable erasers for the mono. But if you look at the difference there, I feel like the mono does just as good of a job, and it's small enough that it works great for me. Now I have these two pencil erasers here, and this is the Arteza one and the Faber Castell. So the Arteza one's almost like a regular eraser, but in a pencil form. And it's a little bit flimsier. So I find it doesn't do as good of a job. It's sort of just, it doesn't really hold a tip that well. You can see if I'm sort of rotating it, I can sort of get it in, but it's starting to dig up the paper now. I can tell that it's starting to pull it up. So I find, you know, this is a nice concept and everything, but it just doesn't do a good job. Now, however, with the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser, it is a harder tip. So if I press on this, you can see it's not moving. It's a very hard tip, and it almost feels like it's got a little bit of grit in there. There's a little bit of grit in there, and that helps it get rid of the colored pencil a lot easier. Now for this one, again, you want to be careful because it does have a grit in there. It can take up some paper. If you just sort of rotate it as you're going, and because this one holds a nice tip too, you can get a finer line as well. And I just keep rotating it as I go, and you can see it's really buffing that colored pencil. It's getting it right out of there. Like, I don't know if you can see the pencil coming off the paper. And you can always take it and rub it off if you need to clean it. And it cleans very nicely, very easily. And then you can go back in and remove more if you need to. Now you can see all this dust that's come off there. Now that is from the pencil. It's not from the eraser. This has still kept its point, but it's just sort of lifted that layer of colored pencil down on the paper. And I think this one does one of the best jobs, the Faber-Castell Perfection Eraser. I think this is a #1 for me because you can see it is a little bit of finer line than the Tombow Mono Eraser, and it is a little bit brighter. So we've gotten a little bit more of that pencil off. Now I've also seen people use some Scotch tape and then go over top with an indenting tool. So I figured I would give this a try also. I don't really use this method normally in my colored pencils. Actually, I don't think I've ever used this method, but it's worth a try. So I guess they just take this and they do little lines. And I guess maybe it would be good for like fur detail. I don't know. And then you just lift it back up. And I feel like it just sort of took everything off. Maybe that's because I pushed it down a little too hard. Let's try it again. We'll give this one another try. So I'm going to do it here, and I'm just going to try to touch the spot that I want. I feel like it's just lifting all the pencil off. Now this could be because I burnished this area. Maybe if I would have gone and used some OMS, the pencil would have gone into the paper a little bit more, and maybe this technique would have been more useful. But I find this just doesn't work at all. Maybe if I needed to like lift a whole area. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to see if I can just run this tool over the whole area. I mean, it sort of works. I would say maybe this works more than the Kneaded eraser if you needed to lift an area, but again, it just looks weird and patchy. So I think my top picks for this is definitely the Tombow Mono Zero Eraser and the Faber-Castell Perfection pencil eraser. And I did get both of these on Amazon. I will try to link everything down below. If you have any other questions or tip videos that you want to see, then please leave them down in the comments below of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Bye!